Hello, and welcome back. If you have seen today's title, you probably have questions. Well, let me answer them. See, I started this day off telling my husband that we are trying a new recipe, a potato soup from Frugal Fit Mom's channel. I was excited. I will put that link down in the box for you guys if you do want to try it. It seems like a great recipe, but when I went to make it, I had almost everything except for the evaporated milk, or so I thought. I was completely out of potatoes. And so I said, okay, so I'll do sweet potatoes. Well, I only had 2 of those left. So then I said, okay, we'll add carrots. And carrots might not be enough, so I said I'll add celery since I have some on hand. Then I told myself, well, maybe if I just do 1 potato and put in some broccoli, maybe the base of the soup will still be nice for a broccoli soup. Next thing I know, I'm adding in the cheddar, taste it, and it's missing something, so I added in some cream cheese, and it became its own thing. But the base of the recipe was supposed to be a potato soup. And I ended up with 0 potatoes in here. So here's what I did. I grated up 2 medium-sized carrots. I washed and diced my celery. I chopped up my medium-sized onion and put in that whole bag of broccoli florrets. Then I added in about 3 cups of chicken broth and half of a chicken bouillon cube, along with a quarter teaspoon, sorry, not a cup, don't put a cup of pepper in there, a quarter cup of pepper, oh my god, a quarter teaspoon of pepper, about a cup and a half of cheddar cheese, no, I take that back, that was marbled cheese, and then I added about a quarter of a packet of cream cheese, full fat in my case, because that's what I have on hand. But this was delicious. It came together quickly. If you're in a rush, this recipe could very easily be done on a stovetop, but that's essentially all that's in there. I was thinking of putting in the sweet potatoes, and then I opted out of it because her original recipe only called for 6 cups of vegetables. I was around the 6-cup mark at that point and didn't want to overdo it. Also, I wasn't sure how the sweet potato texture would have gone in here, and so I figured just a broccoli cheddar soup would be nice. Things I would personally do differently next time that I make this soup, because I'm pretty sure that there will be a next time. It was a hit in our family, but I will say I would use a broth that has a little less salt. I would still add the chicken bouillon cube, but my broth itself was quite salty. So that's in part because it was a Montreal steak chicken broth. And so that is just naturally saltier from the get-go. And I did not account for that. I also didn't want to add any more water in this soup because it was quite watery. So I just went along with it. And when we served it actually, I served it with unsalted crackers, which did help dim down some of that salt, but it could have been better. Another thing that I would have done differently, I would have added more broccoli and more carrots. Unfortunately, this is the only broccoli that I had on hand, and I am running quite low on carrots, so I wanted to leave myself a few carrots until we go do our shopping on Monday. And so I just used what I had on hand, reserving myself some extras, being mindful that I may need carrots in another recipe further in the week. Another thing, had I had 1 medium-sized potato on hand, I'm sure I would have added it to this. I feel like the texture would have been more silky, would have been thicker. That addition of the starch would have also been beneficial to this soup, I feel. But even without it, it was quite nice. Now, was I disappointed that I didn't get to have my potato soup? Of course. I was really looking forward to it, actually. But this turned into its own creation as I went along. And I mean, this is what it is to cook from your pantry and fridge and freezer, right? I used what I had on hand. I had planned for something prior, and this is the exact reason why I cannot make a meal plan, because every time that I do, something like this happens and I get discouraged and I just let go of the whole meal plan for the rest of the week. And I've put in minutes or hours into prepping and calculating and figuring out, and it just doesn't work out. So I tend to just wing it day by day for this exact reason. But this is what works for me. If making a meal plan works for you, I am happy for you, and I wish I was as organized as you are, or at least as dedicated as you are. At this point, I was debating if I should add more liquids, and I decided to wait because my broth was cold still, and so it was kind of congealed. And I told myself, if I wait, plus the vegetables are going to cook down, and add on to that some additional broth. And I was right. I was so happy I did not add any more liquid, but I would have dimmed down on that cheese. That added a lot of salt as well, and I should have just stuck to about a cup. But if you want to go ahead and do the full cup and a half, go for it. Up to you. But this recipe would have also been a lot cheaper to make had I just used 1 cup of cheese. As you can see, I chose to use a potato masher to incorporate the rest of my ingredients once my vegetables were all softened. And so for me, it offered a lot of consistency in the size of my vegetables, and I was able to make quick work of it with hardly any actual effort. It also helped break down the cheese, and so was my favorite way of getting this done. I was going to use that milk, and I wish I would have been able to, but this soup was still so runny that I figured if I add more liquid to it, it would just be way too runny for our taste. So that's why I decided to go with the cream cheese. The cream cheese also added that little, I don't know, je ne sais quoi, that cream cheese does. Which milk would have never added to this recipe. So I was really quite surprised with how well it turned out. It was a hit in my family, but this is a very rich soup. We would have enjoyed it much more as a side, or just in general less salty. But it was nice, and this recipe would have fed at least 5 grown adults for just a little over $7. I will have the breakdown down below for you guys, and I will for sure leave you the recipe in writing with the additional steps. Well, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. This was me winging it when I had my heart set on potato soup, but it somehow turned into a cheddar broccoli soup. Please don't forget to like, subscribe, and share to anybody that you think may enjoy this recipe. Thank you so much for supporting our small channel. See you next time.